Away! You might have gotten a ripping, man. 2 shakes more and a pretty mess for me, you could have called it, if you had the breath. As though I had not trouble enough already, given me by the gods. My master gone, the king that he was. Who knows where the man is? In some faraway country among strangers. Aye, if he was living still, if he sees the light of day. Come to the cabin. You're a wanderer too. You must eat something, drink some wine, and tell me where you are from and the hard times you've seen.
May Zeus and all the other gods give you your heart's desire for taking me in so kindly, friend.
Hush, friend. Rudeness to a stranger is not decency. Poor enough he may be, poorer than you. All wanderers and beggars come from Zeus. What we can give is slight but well meant. All we dare. You know that is the way of slaves, who live in dread of masters, new ones like our own. I told you the gods, long ago, hindered our Lord's return. Had he grown old in his own house, my master would have rewarded me. But the man's gone. God cursed the race of Helen and cut it down, that wrung the strength out of the knees of many. And he went too. For the honor of Agamemnon, he took ships overseas for the wild forest country of Troy to fight the Trojans. There is your dinner, friend, the pork of slaves. Our fat shoats are all eaten by the suitors, cold-hearted men, who never spared thought for how they stand beside of Zeus. Even the outcasts of the earth, who bring piracy from the sea, and bear off plunder given by Zeus in shiploads. Even those men, deep in their hearts, tremble for a heaven's eye. But the suitors now have heard some word, being so unconcerned to pay court properly or go about their business. All they want to do is prey upon the estate. They stop at nothing. Not a day goes by, but they make butchery of our beefs and swine, not 1 or 2 beasts at a time either. As for swilling down wine, they drink us dry. Only a great domain like his could stand it, greater than any on the dusky mainland or here on Ithaca. Not 20 heroes in the whole world were as rich as he.
Who is this lord who once acquired you, so rich, so powerful as you describe him? Tell me his name. I may have met someone of that description in my time. Who knows? Perhaps only the immortal gods could say if I should claim to have seen him. I have roamed about the world for so long.
Well, man, his lady and his son will put no stock in any news of him brought by a rover. Wandering men tell lies for a nice lodging, for fresh clothing. Truth doesn't interest them. Every time some traveler comes ashore, he has to tell my mistress his pretty tale, and she receives him quite kindly, questions him, remembering her prince, while the tears run down her cheeks. And that is as it should be when a woman's husband has been lost abroad. No, long ago, wild dogs and carrion birds, most like, laid bare his ribs on land where life had left him. Far from home he died, a bitter loss, and pain for everyone, certainly for me. Never again shall I have for my lot a master mild as he was anywhere, not even with my parents at home where I was born and bred. No, it is a lost man I ache to think of, Odysseus, and I speak the name respectfully, even if he is not here. He loved me, cared for me, and I call him my lord, far though he be.
Friend, as you are so dead sure he will not come, and so mistrustful too, let me not merely talk as others talk, but swear to it. Your lord is now at hand, and I expect a gift for this good news when he enters his own hall. Till then, I would not take a rag, no matter what my need. I hate as I hate hell's own gate that weakness that makes a poor man into a flatterer. Zeus be my witness, and the table garnished for true friends in Odysseus' own heart. By heaven, all I say will come to you pass. He will return, and he will be avenged on any who dishonor his wife and son.
I take you at your word, then. You shall have no good news gift from me, nor will Odysseus enter his hall. But peace, drink up your wine, let us talk now of other things. No more imaginings. It makes me heavy-hearted when someone brings my master back into mind. My own true master. No, by heaven, let us have no oaths, but if Odysseus can come again, God send he may. My wish is that of Penelope, and old Laertes, and Prince Telemachus. Ah, he's another to be distressed about. Odysseus' child, Telemachus. By the gods' grace, he grew like a tough sapling, and I thought he'd be no less a man than his great father, strong and admirably made. But then someone, god or man, upset him, made him rash, so that he sailed away to sandy Pylos to hear news of his father. Now the suitors lie in ambush on his homeward track, ready to cut away the last shoot of Arcesios' line, the royal stock of Ithaca. No good dwelling on it. Either be caught, or else Cronion's hand will take him through. Tell me now, of your own trials and troubles, and tell me truly first, for I should know, who are you? Where do you hail from? Where is your home and family? What kind of ship was yours? And what course brought you here? Who are your sailors? I don't suppose you walked here on sea.
I might take all this year to tell my story, and never end tale of the misadventures that wore my heart out by God's will. My native land is the wide seaboard of Crete, where I grew up. I had a wealthy father, and none of the other sons were born to him, of his true lady. My mother was a slave, his concubine. But Castor Hylacides, my father, treated me as a true-born son. Fool, I was never called. No turntail in a fight. My strength's all gone, but from the husk you made divine the ear that stood tall in the old days. Misery owns me now. But then the great Ares and Athena gave me valor and man-breaking power. Whenever I made choice of men at arms to set a trap with me for my enemies, never, as I am a man, did I fear death ahead, but went in foremost in the charge, putting a spear through any man whose legs were not as fast as mine. That was my element, war and battle. Farming I never cared for, nor life at home, nor fathering fair children. I reveled in long ships with oars. I loved polished lances, arrows in the skirmish, the shapes of doom that others shake to see. Carnage suited me. Heaven put those things in me somehow, each to his own pleasure. Before we young Achaeans shipped for Troy, I led men on 9 cruises and corsairs to raid strange coasts, and had great luck, taking rich spoils on the spot, and even more in the division. So my house grew prosperous, my standing therefore high among the Cretans. Then came the day when Zeus, who used the wide world, drew men's eyes upon that way accursed that wronged the manhood from the knees of many. Everyone pressed me, pressed King Idomeneus to take command of ships for Ilion. No way out. The country rang with talk of it. So we Achaeans had 9 years of war. In the 10th year we sacked the inner city, Priam's town, and sailed for home. But heaven dispersed the Achaeans. Evil days for me were stored up in the hidden mind of Zeus. 1 month, no more, I stayed at home and enjoyed with my children, wife, and treasure. Lust for action drove me to the sea then, in command of ships and gallant seamen bound for Egypt. 9 ships I fitted out. My men signed on and came to feast with me, as good shipmates, for 6 full days. Many a beast I slaughtered in the gods' honor for my friends to eat. Embarking on the 7th, we hauled sail and filled away from Crete on a fresh north wind effortlessly, as boats will glide down the stream. All rigging whole and all hands well, we rested, letting the wind and steersman work the ships. For 5 days. On the 5th, we made the delta. I brought my squadron up into the riverbank with one of them carrying up the sweeps. There, heaven knows, I told the men to wait and guard the ships while I set out patrols to rising ground. But reckless greed carried them all away to plunder the rich bottom lands. They bore off wives and children, killed what men they found. When this news reached the city, all who heard it came at dawn. On foot they came, and horsemen, filling the river plain with dazzle of bronze. And Zeus, lord of wedding, threw my men into blind panic. No one dared stand against that host closing around us. Their scathing weapons left our dead in piles, but some they took alive into forced labor. And how I wish that I had died in Egypt on that field. So many blows awaited me. Well, Zeus himself inspired me. I wrenched my dogskin helmet off my head, dropped my spear, dodged out of my long shield, ran for the king's chariot, and swung on to embrace and kiss his knees. He pulled me up, took pity on me, placed me on footboards, and drove home with me crouching there in tears. I, for the troops, in battle fury still, made one pass at me after another, pricking me with spears, hoping to kill me. But he saved me. The fear of the great wrath of Zeus that comes when men who ask asylum are given death. 7 years, then, my sojourn lasted there, and I amassed a fortune, going about among the open-handed Egyptians. But when the 8th came around, a certain Phoenician adventurer came to, a plausible rat who had already done plenty of devilry in the world. This fellow took me in completely with his schemes, and led me with him to Phoenicia, where he had land and houses. 1 full year I stayed with him, to the month and day, and when fair weather came around again, he took me in a deep-sea ship for Libya, pretending I could help him in the cargo trade. He meant, in fact, to trade me off, and get a high price for me. I could guess the game, but I had to follow him aboard. One day on course due west, off Central Crete, the ship caught a fresh norther, and we ran southward before the wind while Zeus piled ruin ahead. When Crete was out of sight astern, no land anywhere to be seen but sky and ocean, Cronion put a dark cloud in the zenith over the ship, and gloom spread on the sea. With crack on crack of thunder, he let fly a bolt against the ship, a direct hit, so that she bucked in sacred fumes of sulfur, and all the men were falling to the water. They came up around the wreck, bobbing a while, like petrels on the waves. No homecoming for these, from whom the god had turned his face. Stunned in a smother as I was, yet Zeus put into my hands the great mast of the ship, a way to keep from drowning. So I twined my arms and legs around it in the gale. I stayed afloat 9 days. On the 10th night, a big surf cast me up in Thesprotia. Phaedon the king there gave me refuge nobly. With no talk of reward, his son discovered me, exhausted and half dead with cold, and gave me a hand to bear me up till he reached home, where he could clothe me in a shirt and cloak. In that king's house I heard news of Odysseus, who lately was a guest there, passing by the treasure that Odysseus had brought. Bronze, gold, and iron wrought with heavy labor. In that great room I saw enough to last Odysseus' heir for 10 long generations. The man himself had gone up to Dodona to ask the spelling beads of the cold oak, the willed god. How to return, that is, to the rich realm of Ithaca after so long an absence. Openly, or on the quiet, and tipping wine out, Phaedon swore to me the ship was launched. The seamen standing by to take Odysseus to his land at last. A passage first for me. Thesprotians were sailing as Lacadia for Dulichion, the grain-growing island. There, he said, they were to bring me to the king, Acastos. Instead, that company saw fit to plot foul play against me and my wretched life. There was to be more suffering. At sea, then, when land lay far astern, they sprang their trap. They'd make a slave of me that day, stripping cloak and tunic off me, throwing around the dirty rags you see before you now. At evening, off the fields of Ithaca, they bound me, lashed me down under the decking with stout ship's rope, while they all went ashore in haste to make their supper on the beach. The gods helped me to pry the lashing loose until it fell away. I wound my rags in a bundle on my head and eased myself down the smooth lading plank into the water, up to the chin, then swam an easy breaststroke out and around, putting that crew behind. And I went ashore in underbrush, a thicket, where I lay still, making myself small. They raised a bitter yelling, and I passed by several times. When further groping seemed useless to them, back to the ship they went, and out to sea again. The gods were with me, keeping me hid. And with me, then they brought here to the door of one who knows the world. My destiny is yet to live a while.
Well, poor drifter, you've made me sad for you, going back over it. All your hard life and wandering. That tale about Odysseus, though, you might have spared me. You will not make me believe that. Why must you lie, being the man that you are, and all for nothing? I can see so well what happened to my master sailing home. Surely the gods turned on him, to refuse him death in the field, or in his friend's arms. after he wound up the great war at Troy. He would have made a tomb for him, the Achaeans, and paid all honor to his son thereafter. No, storm winds made off with him. No glory came to him. I moved here into the mountain with my swine. Never now do I go down into town, unless I am sent for by Penelope, when news of some sort comes. But those who sit around her go on asking the old questions. A few who miss their master still, and those who eat his house up and go free. For my part, I have had no heart for inquiry since one year an Aetolian made a fool of me. Exiled from land to land after some killing, he turned up at my door. I took him in. My master he had seen in Crete, he said, lodged with Idomeneus. This time, you are the derelict the powers bring. Well, give up trying to win me with false news of flattery. If I receive you and shelter you, it is not for your tales, but for your trouble. And with an eye to Zeus, who guards a guest.
A black, suspicious heart beats in you surely. The man you are, not even an oath could change you. Come then, we'll make a compact. Let the gods witness it from Olympus, where they dwell, upon your Lord's homecoming, if he comes here to this very hut, and soon. You give me a new outfit, shirt, and cloak, and ship me to Dulichion. I thought it a pleasant island. But if Odysseus fails to appear as I predict, and swish, let the slaves pitch me down from some high rock, so the next poor man who comes will watch his tongue.
Friend, if I agreed to that, a great name I should acquire in the world for goodness. At one stroke and forever, your kind host who gave you shelter in the hand of friendship, only to take your life the next day. How confidently after that should I address my praise to Zeus, the son of Cronus? It is time now for supper. My young herdsmen should be arriving soon to set about it. We'll make a quiet feast here at our hearth. Men, bring in our best pig for a stranger's dinner.
I wish I had a cloak on me to yield me through this weary, cold night, much like the one I took from Thoas at Troy.
No, you'll not sleep cold for lack of cover, or any other comfort one should give to a needy guest. However, in the morning, you must go flapping in the same old clothes. Shirts and cloaks are few here. Every man has one change only. When our prince arrives, the son of Odysseus, he will make you gifts. Cloak, tunic, everything, and grant you passage wherever you care to go.